about thou shalt not commit adultery, I remember where I left my bike at.
And that is. And how long will you be here?
I'm here all week. Literally.
There is.
He live.
Right.
He is live. Do we have a swap meet chronicle?
Well, you know we always got a chronicle from the swap meet. Some good, some bad. Today is a different level of just chronicles. Today, if I had to subtitle this thing, it would be "Stay in Your Own Lane."
All right.
Now, let's go back a few years ago. I'm dating this little lady, and we used to always go out with my partner. I'm going to go and call his name. My partner, Roddy. We used to go out coupled up.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we take turns paying. So, when it's his turn to pay, we go to Andiamo. You know, everybody get pasta. You know, we spend a good $200, $250. Date over. Next month, it's my turn to pay. Okay, everybody want to go to Ruth Chris this time.
How that go? How that happen?
Oh, let me tell you how it happened. This boy now here, he got that bread. He had that bread now.
That guap.
he had that.
That guap.
So remember now, they eats well, but it's my turn to pay.
Wow.
So we at Ruth Chris. They want to start off. He starts off with a double shot of 1738. That's for starters. And then his wife say, "Oh, I'll have the same thing." All right.
It's about $40 right there.
Oh, man.
A piece.
Business owners, entrepreneurs, schools, churches, dealerships, restaurants, plays, or concerts. You now have an extremely affordable way to reach 12 million people. 910 AM Superstation is Detroit's only urban talk radio station, known for having the greatest collection of minds and personalities in town. And now you don't have to just listen. You can advertise. Promote your business, your event, spread awareness, or advertise a weekly special. Call David Bangora now and take advantage of this powerful opportunity to advertise. The number is 586-790-3838. Again, 586-790-3838. One last time, call David Bangora at 586-790-3838 to advertise on Detroit's only urban talk radio station, 910 AM Superstation, the voice of Detroit. AM Superstation gives you the flip side, the real side. This is our side.
I believe. Are we on the air?
You're listening to 910 AM Superstation, Detroit's only urban talk radio station. The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 910 AM Superstation or Adele Media. You're listening to 910 AM Superstation, Detroit's only urban talk radio station.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative analytical radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative analytical radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. It's the Wayne Bradley Show.
And good morning, Detroiters. It's the Wayne Bradley Show on 910 AM, your superstation. I am excited to be here on another Wednesday morning. Thanks for listening in today, and I appreciate it. Hold on real quickly here. I'm not hearing that. So, there we go. We're ready. We're running. We're up and running now. Sorry about that, folks. Couldn't hear myself in the mic. I appreciate everyone that's been listening in. We've had some days in the last week or so where we have been playing some of my recorded shows, but we're live again this morning. It's been an interesting couple days here. We'll jump right into some of the news that's been going on. Let's start off with the tragedy that happened in New York yesterday. 8 people were killed, 11 people were injured, and what was obviously a terror attack in New York City yesterday. The man that did it, they found his name was Savio Sapov, and he was an Uber driver from Uzbekistan with ties to Florida and New Jersey. He came in 2010, and again, people might not want to accept this, but it's going to bring more validity to what our president has been saying about extreme vetting and knowing the people that we're letting into this country. It's just an unfortunate situation, folks. And Governor Cuomo, he said there's no evidence right now of a more wider plot. But we have to start paying more attention to these folks that we're letting into this country and monitor them even once we do let them in, because I don't know what you can do to stop a lone wolf, someone that's just going to do something on his own. He left a note in the car and said it was for ISIS. Now, I believe this gentleman is still alive. So, the irony is that he did all this with the intention of dying in a blaze of glory, and he's still alive. And I sure hope that the FBI and the CIA do whatever they can do, and I mean whatever they can do, to get some information out that guy. When someone does this, it was a plot to cause terror, which it did do. And to me, we're going to have to put a lot more stringent testing and a lot more observation. And I hate to say that because I'm not a guy that likes to abuse rights of individuals and things like that. But I just think that somehow this can be avoided with a little more monitoring of people and also better vetting of the people we're letting in here in the first place. That's something we all have to be, we have to pay more attention to, folks. And I think that President Trump is once again going to be proven right on that. We're going to talk a little bit today. Obviously, we're going to talk more about the indictments that happened in D.C. on Monday. Secret indictments. They're finding out now that this gentleman, George Papadopoulos, sounds like the biggest rat that we've had in a long time in D.C. A low-level guy that sounds like he got in trouble, and now he's singing like a canary. Will it lead to anything? Does it get all the way to the White House? I don't know. Give us a call, 313-209-9000. We've got, somebody already calling in that wants to add to this conversation. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I think that it's important to recognize that in this scenario, that just because you have people that that people have worked somewhere in the Trump administration during campaign season, maybe they did things that were unscrupulous, unethical, or maybe they did things that, again, when you were a new campaign, and from top to bottom, it's a new campaign, the Trump team did not take all the typical D.C. consultants. Trump worked with people all over the globe, essentially, I guess, on this. Paul Manafort lived in his building, and Paul Manafort lobbied to get that position. And I think that a lot of people, including a lot of Republicans, were a little leery of Paul Manafort's ties to Russia and Ukraine and all these different places. And I think that maybe, just maybe, Paul Manafort himself tried to leverage his position amongst not only, Donald Trump, but amongst these different nations. And, bottom line, he didn't register as a foreign agent. It sounds like he's done a lot of things to cover or to hide his finances. And so these are the kind of things that I think that anyone in that level, that's at that level of the field, could get in trouble for. But I think, interestingly enough, in terms of Paul Manafort, it's not about collusion with Russia, folks. And I think that that's what I know people are hoping, and, a lot of folks around here are hoping that Donald Trump gets in trouble. But if he just made some bad hires, that's not illegal. Maybe it wasn't the best decisions, but it's not illegal. That's not something that the president himself is going to get in trouble for. So we're going to bring Keith on the line first. Keith, welcome to the show this morning. Good morning, sir.
Hey, what's going on? You don't have to call me sir, man. I'm a brother.
All right, my brother. What's happening this morning?
I'm your brother. Well, I think symptomatic that you're talking about saying that Trump just brought on some bad hires. Mm-hmm. It's not so much that, it's more bad thinking. It's more bad thinking. And this is directly tied to some of the terrorism. It's the thinking.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at this is at the root of your terrorist problem.
Okay.
When you look at the walls of the pyramid where it talks about immaculate conception and rebirth,
Mm-hmm.
this was going on thousands of years before your Jesus Christ was born.
Okay.
But instead of being respectful to the original names associated with the main premise of world religion,
Mm-hmm.
you decide that you are to call on no other name but Jesus. Jesus is why those that know the truth about the spirituality of humanity, this is why you're so hated, because you pick up and run with a lie. See.
Are you talking about Americans or are you talking about Christians? Which one are you in particular pointing out in this kind of scenario? Is it the Christian community or is this an American problem? Which one do you think it is?
It's a humanity problem.
Okay.
It's a humanity problem. Every religion has its roots on that stuff that's written on that pyramid wall.
Okay.
It's just like that little game that you played back in school. The original holder of the word whispered it into somebody's ear, and by the time it got all the way back, it was all messed up and went in 50 different directions.
Okay.
So if you want to beat your terrorist problem,
Mm-hmm.
you got to go back to truth. You got to go back to truth. You can't just give Jesus acknowledgement for immaculate conception and rebirth when he was nothing more than a Johnny-come-lately.
Ooh.
Get to every other corner, and you got Trump.
But wait a minute. All right, now Keith, I got to ask you this: why are you invoking my good Lord and Savior into this terrorist attack that happened yesterday? I guess there's always been religion wars, right? And I get that, but how do we bring Christianity into the fact that a guy yesterday hopped in a rental car, mowed down 8 people yelling Allah Akbar, and he didn't say praise God, the Lord Jesus before he did it. He said Allah Akbar. And so I recognize that not everyone in their religion is extremists and fanatics, obviously willing to kill people, but how do we invoke Christianity into such a terrible situation yesterday? Shouldn't we be putting our emphasis and focus not on Muslims in totality, but shouldn't we put some kind of a better surveillance, a better a process in place when we're bringing people into this country? Don't you think that would be smart at this point, Keith?
Yeah, you do need better surveillance. You need to go back to the walls of the pyramid where you can see immaculate conception and rebirth,
Mm-hmm.
and the names associated with that. You are not going to be able to, thousands of years later, you cannot worship Kid Rock and think that things are going to go your way. You're being called a liar to your face.
Who's worshiping Kid Rock?
They know what they're talking about.
Who's worshiping Kid Rock right now?
Well, that's Kid Rock that's hanging up on your church walls.
Oh,
That
wow.
Kid Rock is hanging up on your church walls, and it's a lie. It's a lie. If you do the research,
Mm-hmm.
you know what they say? They say Jesus Christ was born between 6 BC and 4 BC.
Okay.
That tell you right there, your story is twisted because BC stands for before Christ.
Right.
If the story of Jesus Christ was true, his birthday should have been 1 AD. You cannot claim, it's just like Melania stealing Michelle's speech. Michelle's the one who had the education and the knowledge.
Man,
not Melania.
Keith.
You cannot steal Michelle's stuff and think that you're going to have power.
Well, listen, a lot of times in the D.C. world of speech writing, and I'll just be honest about this, in the D.C. world of speech writing, a lot of these folks use some of the same people. So I don't know if it's a case of someone stealing someone's speech or if you just had someone of the same people, same boutique shop in D.C. write these speeches. And I think that, again, I want to focus on what happened yesterday. What do you think we should do? What do you think we can do to solve the problems and the challenges of what we have going on, like when we have these situations in New York? And I want to apologize for whoever that was that just called in. Give us a call back in a second. I just had someone walk out, so give me a call. I see you back on the line. We'll just hold on. We'll be right there with you. But Keith, what do you think we can do to solve the problems of homegrown or terrorists that are here in this country right now? What do you think we should do to monitor them better or get to the root of the problem?
You have to go back to truth. You got to go back to truth, just like the civil rights struggle. And we telling white folk, listen, you have got to be fair. We're humanity as well. You got to go back to truth, because there are people in this world that are not going to accept a lie. Just because you want to give Jesus Christ claims immaculate conception and rebirth.
But I don't understand why you keep bringing that up. Shouldn't we be talking about the Muslim faith? I don't understand where the Christianity ties into this. I get it if you want to have a theology lesson, if you want to go back deeper. But right now, in New York yesterday, it wasn't a Christian that came through there and blew up that situation. I mean, it was no Christian that did that. So, hey, I appreciate, come on, I'm going to give you the last word on this because we got another call coming in here. But I want to give you the last word on what America needs to do. Go ahead. Take it away, Keith.
America needs to go back to the truth. You can't beat your slaves and kill them and claim King James. That's blasphemy.
But there were Muslims that originally in Africa. It was the Muslims that provide their own folks as slaves. Am I lying or am I flying, Keith?
You're lying and you're flying. You got to go back to the truth.
Come on, Keith. Now I'm detecting a little bit of empathy and protecting one religion while throwing another one under the bus. I don't quite understand that. No, I mean, listen, you explained it to me, but you're not. It doesn't seem to me as if you want to deal with the problem at hand. Which is
all the roots and roads lead back to the walls of that pyramid.
Okay.
You can change the story, put the wrong face on your church walls.
Mm-hmm.
There are people out there.
I still can't believe you called Jesus Kid Rock, man, Keith. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna pray for you, brother. I'm gonna pray for you. I appreciate you calling in this early in the morning and giving your insight, though. Thank you so much, brother. You have a good day. All right. All right, we're going to go to John. We got calls early this morning. We're going to go to John. John, thanks for calling in this morning. John, you're on the air. Come on, wake up, John.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, hey, I had to wake you up there. It's 5:15. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to let you know that what you think about the fact that a lot of the federal judges wanted to stop Trump immigration when it comes to terrorist countries and stuff like that. I wonder what people thinking about now, because my thing is
activist judges, John. That's what those are. There's not a lot of them. It's the activist judges out there on the West Coast. A lot of liberals, and now, I wonder how they feel as well.
Yeah, because see, you have a lot of those young terrorists, 28, 29 years old. Folks told them a lot about the Persian Gulf War when the old man Bush was in office, and they kids ain't forgot about it. U.S. opened their borders, been opening their borders for years for terrorists, and them folks don't like the United States. Every time you look around, you have incidents like that. You think when they come over here in this country, the version we got, I ain't trying to profile people.
Uh-huh. You're in and out there, John.
They feel the United States did a lot of good to their country, and any chance they get, they're going to strike this country. What's your opinion?
Hey, John, I don't know where you're at in your house or what you're doing. Is there any way I can get you to stand still or to something here? Because I can't. You're in and out, and I think you're dropping some good knowledge, and I want the folks who are listening this morning to hear what you have to say. Can you repeat what you said? And like I said, I don't know where you're at in the house.
What I was saying is that do you think places like Hamtramck and Dearborn Well, a lot of people feel those terrorists coming over in this country don't like this country. Do you think in the future that that's going to be U.S. downfall?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. I don't think that. I think that I'm sure the FBI and folks like that monitor those areas probably more than they do other places in America right now. But I'll be honest. I think 90 to 95% of these guys that come over here, even if they didn't like America before they got here, when they get to Dearborn or Hamtramck, they like, hey, this America place is not so bad. I really believe that. I mean, you haven't had those same problems coming out of, we haven't had like terrorist issues in Michigan because I truly believe that once they get here, this is their small piece of wherever they came from, and it's not so bad. They can practice their religion. They're free, a lot of the problems that they have opportunities here. Whether it's to get jobs, to get an education. And so I just think that I truly believe in the good in people. I think that you obviously have to monitor situations, but I think it comes down to in Dearborn and Hamtramck, a lot of people here realize that if they were to break some of those rules and do some of the things in terrorism, that they'd shut down Dearborn. You wouldn't be able to get out of Dearborn. If you did something,
well, this situation that happened yesterday, when they do a complete investigation and find out where this guy come from and how long he's been here,
right?
That's going to be a wake-up call for
them. Yeah, well, this is one of the first. This is under the Schumer-Obama program. They call it the diversity visa that he came in under in 2010. So, I do think that, again, people are going to monitor. And again, Donald Trump has been saying this for a long time. We need to do a more extreme vetting process is what he called it, extreme vetting. And I think that, some of these judges, like that judge in Hawaii, and that was my suggestion, well, hey, if this judge in Hawaii doesn't care about the Muslim ban and wants it all to, let that go through, why don't we just send everybody to Hawaii? It's not a bad place to be. And you can keep an eye on everybody. It's an island. Can't get too much trouble if there's.
I'm going to say this real quick before I get off. I think this country going to have to be careful because due to the fact you have got peoples over in this country that don't like this country, they got an agenda, and their agenda is they haven't forgot the dirt that they so-called say United States did. And if you notice, when they get in this country and they do a bombing and the killing, they try to go to most white areas to do it. They figure, well, if we kill blacks, even though blacks get caught up, they're gonna figure that ain't no big deal.
Right? They're not gonna. That's not gonna get the masses upset.
A white establishment where they figure that's gonna really make the white folks mad. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John, for calling in. I appreciate it. Wow, we've got the lines already buzzing here at 5:20 in the morning. We're going to go to LaShonda. LaShonda's on the line. LaShonda, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good, so you're listening in on these folks calling in. What do you think about what happened in New York and how we need to address that situation?
Oh, that's what you're talking about? Can I say something a little different?
Go ahead. I mean, why not?
Oh, you should be celebrating. What is the highest award that a journalist can receive besides comes close to the Nobel Peace Prize?
The Pulitzer?
You know who should get that?
Who should get that award?
Sean Hannity.
Ha! My guy.
Oh, my gosh.
I like you, LaShonda. I like you. This is the way to wake up in the morning.
I have to just call it like it is. I've been since October 25th when he first broke the news about the dossier. And after watching him today, well, actually last night, I've been up for about 6 hours just watching the whole coverage. I mean, it is absolutely award-winning, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt for those that aren't in the know, but you should be celebrating right now. And I am extremely proud of the coverage that Sean Hannity and the whole Fox team network.
LaShonda, I like you. I like you.
Well, thank you. The truth is the truth, and I don't like fake news.
Oh, you are my girl, LaShonda. You sound like my girl right there. We don't do the fake news here on my time. I like that. I appreciate that. And I do think that that Sean Hannity's been one of the few people that started off being was talking about some of these problems we were having, and sure enough, like you said, a lot of he called it, and he called the Uranium One deal. I said, Mueller's investigating now. He's investigating the Clinton team. So, hey, listen, I'm willing to give up Paul Manafort for a Podesta. If Manafort didn't register as a foreign agent, that's against the law. If you did not tell the government that you made $25 million, hey, I can't defend. I don't defend people that break the law, that did it recklessly and had no regard for the law. We all got to pay taxes, and when you've made $25 million, you owe somebody. And so that to me, the biggest problem is they don't know who's talking amongst these low-level guys who might have got picked up by the FBI. And whether FBI and Mueller and these guys do it is they don't just threaten your safety and your freedom. They go after your mom. They go after your best friends. They find something that somebody did to get you to talk. And this guy's been talking since July. And so, we'll see what happens. I think that, I think a lot of people are going to still be depressed or disappointed that it's not going to get all the way up to the White House. That's my prediction. Whatever happens, it's not going to get to the White House. And I got another thing to just tell folks. As all this is going on, the president could just be warming up his pardon pen again. Yeah, I'm not saying this is what's happening, but if the president, made it known to Paul Manafort, just like, hey, keep cool, baby. Keep cool. You saw how I pardoned Sheriff Joe. I'm going to pardon you. Just keep cool. Don't rat on anybody here. And that's what I just think that I do believe that it's not going to get all the way to the top of the White House. And that's something that people are going to have to just be disappointed about. Once again, it has that whole election day feel of people just knowing that, that Donald's going to get in trouble just the same way they knew Donald was going to lose the election. And then when it comes back out that Mueller was investigating it, but guess what he found? He found Democrats were the ones colluding with Russia and the first ones ordering that dossier. There's going to be some people disappointed. I really do believe that.
If you, like I say, I really love facts, and you'll have people that will dispute your own facts.
Yep.
That's what's kind of, like, you want to just say, well, don't say I told you so, but you have to do your own research.
Amen.
And you have to follow it. So listen, I couldn't wait to tell you that this morning, so I'm going to let you go.
Well, thank you, LaShonda. I hope you.
Day.
I appreciate it. You have a great day, too, and keep listening in and stay away from that fake news.
Oh, I try my best to.
All right. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.
Bye now.
All right. We're going to go to Gary next. We got folks calling in all morning already. Gary, welcome to the show. How you doing this morning?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. It's amazing. She's going to Sean Hannity for facts.
I like it. I like it, Gary. That's where you need to go.
He's the same guy that supposedly is being sued right now, outed a pizza owner and said that they were abusing kids in the basement. Come to find out it wasn't true. He destroyed this man's life and his family's life. And then for you to sit here and say it's okay.
Well, I mean, no one's perfect.
No, are you serious?
No one's perfect.
He just destroyed a family's life.
The media, unfortunately, the media has done that to so many people. So I mean, let's not pick out Sean Hannity to be the one person that's done that.
You the one brought up Sean Hannity.
I didn't bring up Sean Hannity. My great guest who just called in, LaShawn. I didn't bring him
and equated him with facts.
Well, he does. He does share a lot of facts with folks. He does. Sometimes it's a hard truth.
Yeah, but you know about the situation that I'm talking about. You know about it. Mm-hmm. I mean, anybody with knowledge knows about what he did to that family.
Well, I don't know if you can blame that strictly on Sean Hannity when websites and blogs are the ones that came up with the story.
That's fine, and if I'm a journalist, I have people on my staff who are able to vet that information. They knew that was a lie. And they came out and said it was lying. He continued to do it. But you sit there and say, well, everybody can make a mistake.
Right.
Oh, so the man and his family were sacrificial lambs as far as you're concerned. To get
No,
ready.
I didn't say that. I said that I willingly just said he could have made a mistake. And then that was part of the cause and effect of that mistake.
Yeah, well, let's hold people accountable for what they do, especially when what their actions are. It destroys people. And this woman said she goes to Sean Hannity for facts. We're living in a country now where people are so separated. See, what I do is I listen to everything, and I can decipher it myself.
That's the best way to do it.
Decipher it myself.
Yep.
And you know what kind of guy this guy is. This guy is strictly a mouthpiece for the White House. Barack Obama had mouthpieces also. But to sit here and say that he's delivering facts.
Well, he does. He does. Hey, James, I got one last question before we go to the break here. What do you think we can do to change this, to change or focus more on, like, this terrorist attack that happened in New York yesterday? Do you think you need to do more extreme vetting? Do we need to monitor that?
You can do all.
What do you think?
Yeah, you can do all the vetting. You can do all the vetting you want to. The thing about it is you've got lone wolves, and now the thing you can do about it, I guess we'll vet Dylan Ruth and those people also. There are people in this country that hate this country. They're already here. They've been here for 30 and 40 years. And so there's nothing you can do. Speaking of vetting, the White House is not saying, well, Paul Manafort was a low level. Paul Manafort.
I didn't say Paul level. I didn't say Paul Manafort was the low level guy. I said this George Papadopoulos guy that no one knew seems to have all this information, but he was again a volunteer.
Sir, they asked Donald Trump, who you got on that committee? Oh, well, I got George Papadopoulos. He's a great guy.
He had a list. Do you understand?
Audio is something else, man.
All right, we're gonna go to that. We're gonna go to that audio. If I can find it, James, Gary, we're gonna go for that audio. I got to take a break here. I do appreciate you calling in. If you want to call back, we can talk some more. But I do appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much. We're about to go to a break here on the Wayne Bradley Show. When we come back, we're going to talk some more about New York, and we're going to talk some more about all the things going on in the news. Give us a call.
Radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative Radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show.
If the conversation is hot and the lines are jammed, give us a try at 313-778-7600 or 313-778-7601. That's 313-778-7600 or 313-778-7601.
910 Superstation is off the chisane.
910 AM Superstation is the voice of Detroit, and we want to hear what you have to say by any means necessary. Are you an aspiring businessman or businesswoman? Are you a great communicator, love to meet new people, and want to make a ton of money? Do you despise sitting behind a desk all day and would rather be out making money? Well, we have the opportunity for you. 910 AM Superstation is looking for new, energetic, and committed account executives. If you can make the connections, build the relationships, and close the deal, that's all you need. Call David Bangora at 586-790-3838. That's 586-790-3838. 910 AM Superstation is in a league of its own. We are the only talk radio station in the Metro Detroit area sensitive to the African American community.
Make sure you join us on what station?
910 AM, the Superstation.
910 AM.
910 AM. On 910 AM Superstation.
910 AM Superstation, Metro Detroit's only African American based talk radio station. Be sure to catch Doing the D with Alexander Zonchek right here on 910 AM Superstation.
Many, many years ago, I would play concerts. 1978, my first record came out. In those days, I would play. A beautiful young lady would come up to you and go, "Oh, Alexander, I love your music. I have all your LPs." A couple years go by, and same beautiful girl comes over and says, "My mother loves all of your music." And I go, "Oh, wow, now it's her mother." And then you go by, and now what do I get now? My grandparents have all your LPs. I'm serious. I get that all the time.
The Voice of Detroit, Sundays from 5 to 7 p.m. There's always something new to talk about, and 910 AM Superstation wants to have you covered from every angle. So we're adding some familiar voices and strong opinions to the best talk radio station in town.
Hi, I'm Rochelle Riley, and I'm so glad to be joining the family at 910 AM Superstation. We're going to be talking about it all Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Don't miss it.
910 AM Superstation, the voice of Detroit. There's always something new to talk about, and 910 AM Superstation wants to have you covered from every angle. So we're adding some familiar voices and strong opinions to the best talk radio station in town.
I'm Republican, from Detroit, and I'm black. Yeah, that's right. Different perspective, different view. Don't miss the Wayne Bradley Show on Superstation 910 AM.
From 7 to 9 a.m., we'll have the editor for the Detroit News, Nolan Findlay.
This is the most volatile time in the country in my professional career. And, that generates a lot of news, a lot of stuff to talk about.
Followed by the one and only David Alexander Bullock from 9 to 11 a.m.
The People Show, man, we bring it to you live and in full effect.
The always insightful and controversial Steve Niebling from 11 a.m. to noon.
And I do want to hear from you what you want to hear from me.
Bankalay Thompson from noon to 2 p.m.
This is the platform where we delve into the facts and informed opinion. We ask the tough questions.
The Cliff Russell Show from 2 to 4 p.m.
I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care.
Spud from 4 to 6 p.m.
Detroit's only African-American talk station 24/7 Spud is here.
Rochelle Riley from 6 to 7 p.m.
I want to stress that this adventure is about life in Detroit and Michigan.
This Pastor Mo, a.k.a. the Street Preacher, a.k.a. the Street Sweeper.
You listen to the Lola George Show. It's your girl, Lola George.
910 AM Superstation, the voice of Detroit.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative lyrical radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative lyrical radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show.
And welcome back to the Wayne Bradley Show on 910 AM, your superstation. I want to make sure that everyone's getting the call and information. If you want to jump in on this conversation, the number is 313-209-9000. And lately, we get an overwhelming amount of calls, so we have some new additional numbers for you to call into. The other number is 313-778-7600. So we were talking about the terrorist attack in New York, and I want to give a special shout-out to my homeboy that's listening, sitting, relaxing right now. I hope you feel better, my brother. I'm praying for you, Dwayne Hawkins, my brother, commenting and giving me all kind of hell on the Facebook page. But I love you, brother. Appreciate it. Keep me honest as much as you can. You know that I appreciate it. All right, so we're talking about the ban that should be happening, but again, you have these activist judges getting in the way. We're going to we got a couple calls left here on the air right now. We're going to go to James. James, thanks for calling in.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
I'm all right. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right. I heard that one brother that come on when he was talking about Christ and Immaculate Conception.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what. I kind of get where he was going with it. He was using that Egyptology, which is a false doctrine anyway.
Okay.
But
well, I mean, he compared God. He said that Kid Rock was Jesus. So I kind of right there knew. I said we're going in a different angle on this because I thought we were talking about again the terrorist attack and Muslims and whatnot. So
and again, I understand where you're going.
I did too.
Christ is black. He's not white. Christ is black, not white. I get that, but it was like he was trying to figure. It was like he was trying to say something but didn't know how to say it. But what I wanted to say about the terrorist attack, if you give me a minute.
Go ahead. Take your time.
If you look in Daniel chapter 2, verse 41, I scanned through it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It said, if the toes and the feet will be the toes and the feet, part of polished clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. If you look at this American kingdom, it is divided. I mean, so we got the military in Rome, but we clay because of the democracy. And if you move down to Daniel 2, verse 42, it says, I just came through it, and as the toes and the feet were part iron and part clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Same difference. And where it says, thou shalt iron mix with miry clay, and they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. This is this country. We mingle ourselves with all the seeds of men. All nations are here.
Okay.
But they shall not cleave one to another, and that's an important part. They shall not cleave one to another. That's why the United States will never have unity in it, because we don't cleave one to another. You know, every nation thinks differently.
Right.
Chinese ain't gonna think like an African, like the black man. The black man ain't gonna think like the white man. The white man ain't gonna think like the Arab. So then, when you jump up to Genesis 16:12,
okay,
and you want to talk about prophecy and the reason why what is happening is the way God prophesies it, because in 16:12 it says, and he will. It says, I start at 11. It said, and the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, thou child shall bear a son, we shall call him Ishmael. Ishmael is the Arabs. That's the biblical name to all the Arabs.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Lord hath heard thy affliction, which they are afflicted, and he will become a wild man, and his hand will be against every man, and every man against his hand. If you look at it, everybody's against them, and they're against everybody. This is prophecy. So far as a ban is concerned or more security is concerned, this is the Lord's prophecy. This is the Lord's prophecy. The Arabs is against everybody, and everybody against them, and he will return back to his roots as a wild man. He's the only one strapping himself in the name of Allah Akbar. He's the only one.
There you go.
Giving praise to idolatry,
right,
to a cube, to a box. He's the one doing this. Now, I get what the brother was doing with Christianity. Yeah, Christianity is a very bloody religion because the way it was hijacked, Christopher Columbus and the rest of these people. But as far as your point, as far as Islam is concerned, this is never going to stop. This is prophesied.
Right.
And those who understand how the Bible is written, they will understand what this said. He is a wild man. He will return back to his nature. And his hand will be against everybody, everybody against his hand. And in this country, the reason why this country is so vulnerable, because it's a democracy. Yeah, man, this country is strong like Rome. I mean, military, bad, on jam.
Right.
But as long as you have democracy, you're always going to have the mingling of men, and they will not see eye to eye.
Man.
And this is what we have. If you follow what I'm saying.
Now, I definitely follow it. Now, I hope that the people who are listening are following it too, James. I appreciate you calling in and giving a different perspective, obviously, from the caller before that was, again, I think that he was giving some, obviously some facts and more of a theology lesson. And you went straight to the scripture to show exactly what's been going on here. And I appreciate you calling in, James. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
You have a good day, sir. All right, so we got Todd on the line. Todd, thanks for calling in.
Morning.
Good morning. How you doing this morning?
I'm okay. On my way to work.
Oh, on your way to work? I'm already up. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate you listening in. I appreciate all my folks that call in at before 6 a.m. on their way to work, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Todd. As you're listening to these different callers and you're listening to this, as we were talking about this attack yesterday in New York, what do you think we need to do to improve these scenarios and keep America safe?
Well, first of all, we've already got rules and laws on the books for immigration. Got to go back to those. Maybe solidify some of the things that we've already got there, but we don't need any more new rules because those old rules were working.
Okay, so we don't need any new rules in terms of. So you're not in support of any kind of Muslim ban or anything like that?
Well, you can't call it a Muslim ban because It just so happens.
Muslim travel ban. Let's put it that way. Muslim travel ban is what the word.
No, you can't use Muslim, in my opinion. Just so happens a lot of the countries that are on the list that even Barack Obama had on the list,
right,
just happen to be Muslim.
Muslim countries. Yep, you're right.
Correct. So you just cannot.
The media uses that term so much that I even have caught the bad habit of using it myself sometimes, Todd. So I apologize. You're right. A travel ban.
Correct. So travel ban is just a step up above from what we've already got to be able to make sure that those terrorist countries have been identified. You know, you got Saudi Arabia. Look, they funded a lot of the terrorist attack that happened on September 11, 2001. And guess who was in the United States? The Saudi prince. When they shut down the airspace, they let him go.
Right. I remember that. Definitely remember that.
So getting back to the whole idea at hand here, that's why we have Second Amendment rights, is to be able to keep and bear arms to take on the government if it goes out of control. But not only that, it's also to protect the country. Because if you take a look at our warriors,
right,
our military are at or about World War I levels. We're having a hard time defending this. These people are overworked, underpaid.
Well, so we're stretched very thin right now. That's definitely true.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, people need to make sure that we can have our firearms to protect the country, to protect our family, to protect our neighbors. Because when the brown stuff hits that fan, it's going to be you and me and my community saving each other.
Agreed.
That's what community is all about.
Agreed. I totally agree with you on that. We're here to protect ourselves from terrorism, domestic or abroad. Isn't that right, Todd?
That's right. Because right now, even the levels of the local police forces are way down.
Well, I mean, you can't rely on the police to protect you. That's a personal responsibility. Usually, by the time the police have been called, the crime has already been committed. And so whether it's, like I said, when we're dealing with terrorism, we're just dealing with your average crime on the day-to-day. By the time the police are called, it's usually too late. And you have to be able to protect yourself, or you at least want that option to protect yourself and your family. And I think that is something, again, that even in a situation like yesterday, there's only one way to stop a bad guy like that, and that's a good guy with a gun.
Good guy with a gun,
Yep.
And it's so underreported by the mainstream media. Those people are so in the bag for the wrong side. That was supposed to be a watchdog group for we the people.
Right.
Turned out that nope.
The media's gotten so bad in terms of their narrative. And I guess what it is that you just have a lot of these writers, a lot of these reporters are naturally just liberal folks, and they kind of use their own personal feelings, and it comes out in the way they report the media, whether it's the reporters themselves, the producers. I really don't have an answer as to why a good portion of not just Hollywood, but the media in general, they're a bunch of liberal folks. And so when you do have a situation where a gunman comes out, but a good guy with a gun stops him, we don't talk about that. And I think that, again, that's the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is usually a good guy with a gun.
Exactly.
It's the reason why you'd never have had a mass shooting at a gun range. These guys are crazy, but they don't go to a gun range. They go to a school, a gun-free zone, and create these massacres. Yesterday, this guy went through it, took his car, rented a car, and plowed down a lot of folks. Killed 8 people. 11 people are still injured, seriously injured. And so, in this kind of scenario, I don't know what you can do other than to monitor people better when they come into this country. But of a lone wolf scenario, what do you think? I mean, the guy said he did it for ISIS. There was a letter in his car that said he did this for ISIS. And ISIS has said from the beginning, we don't want to communicate with you. We just want to inspire folks because we want you to be able to go out and do what you need to do without getting in trouble, without being under the radar of like the FBI or something. So to me, what do you do in those kind of scenarios, Todd?
Well, please understand that people call this a lone wolf attack. I don't believe that's true because anybody that practices the Muslim faith, Islam, they're in it for Sharia. They're in it with the Quran, and that Quran, that religion has never had a reformation like Christianity. Christianity was just as bad back in the day.
Right.
There was a reformation. That's what the Bible has said, and also history has shown.
Right. And there's no religion that's perfect. I mean, religion was created by man. So there's no religion that's perfect. I'm willing to say that. I mean, you got Christians that run operations that say they're Christians that don't necessarily behave or behave the way that the Lord would want them to when you're representing representing Christianity. So, I mean, you have Christian extremists. You have guys that are pro-life that go and blow up abortion clinics. I mean, it doesn't happen that often, but you do have these kind of people. You have extremists everywhere, but I think the difference is that, like you said, dealing with the Quran and dealing with folks that, these holy wars that people are predicting and kind of wanting to happen, I do think that it's a slightly different precedent on what's going on now, in particular, like with these attacks that you have in New York.
Yeah, these are death by 1,000 cuts. They're taking the slow wool. It's going to take a long time, but they're doing it because the enemy is within and has not been recognized, so that you know what's going on. Because if you remember, Thomas Jefferson had the Quran in mass publication back in his time so that everybody could read it. When he had a mass publication and translated so everybody could read it, to understand who they were and what they wanted to do, because even during his time they couldn't negotiate with those folks. They didn't care.
Right. Now, and that's what people don't understand now. If terrorists and ISIS got America to sit down and negotiate with them, they would have won. We don't negotiate with terrorists, and they're not interested in negotiating. A lot of these countries aren't interested in negotiating. They love the idea of bringing America to its knees by negotiating and getting what they want out of something else. Because a lot of these places are small, unorganized, and that's why they're not going to sit down at any table, because even amongst themselves there are people that are more extreme and wouldn't go along with anything that any kind of compromise that could be made. And they're not interested in compromise. They're interested in victory. They're interested in winning the war. And so you can't compromise with someone who wants your own destruction. I mean, that's just, that's what, the situation you put in Israel in all the time is you're asking them to compromise and negotiate with someone that doesn't even want to admit that they exist, that doesn't, think that they should be wiped off the face of the earth. So how do you negotiate with someone like that? So, you don't. So, but just remember, I know you got to go to other folks, but when you hear in the media when someone said that he said in Arabic, "God is great," that's not the translation of Allahu Akbar. What is it?
My God is greater than your God.
There you go. Well,
so he's domination once again, man over man.
Yep, I appreciate it, Ty. Thank you for calling in this morning. I hope you keep listening to the Wayne Bradley Show. You have a great day, sir. All right, we're going to go to Jay. Jay is next. Jay, thanks for calling in.
Hey, how you doing this morning?
Good. I'm doing good. How you doing this morning, sir?
All right. I just want to say I wish you could get someone to read a couple of scriptures from the book of Enoch. Have you ever heard of the book of Enoch?
No. Do you have it available? Do you want to read out a scripture? I mean, I'm all open to it.
Actually, I'm driving right now, but if you can have one of your callers call in, or I can call back a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. And check out the book of Maccabees also, if you can get someone to call in. I just wanted to give that little information out.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Jay. Thank you for calling in. What do you think that we need to do to keep America more secure and in dealing with situations like yesterday in New York?
Well, first of all, America needs to stop trying to dominate the world, first of all, because that's where all the problems come from.
So
these terrorist groups are just trying to pay back, basically, because, America has been terrorizing the world for years.
Mm-hmm.
It all started with Alexander the Great dominating the world, white supremacy. That's where it all started from. But I don't want to get into all that. But
you're deep like the ocean, Jay. I appreciate that, man. I tell you what, if you get a chance, call back in and let's go deeper into this conversation, brother. I appreciate you calling in though this morning.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, so there are, it's hard to argue with the fact that these terrorist groups aren't, a product of some of the things we've done militarily across the globe. For example, President Obama essentially created ISIS. There was no ISIS before, and President Obama called them the JV team of terrorists. If you remember correctly, I'll find that clip too. Obama called ISIS the JV team of terrorism. And so we didn't take them seriously at the time. And pretty much once we took out Saddam Hussein, this vacuum was created of different terrorist groups, different folks that have been vying for power. And again, I'm a Rand Paul kind of guy in terms of all these wars. I agree to a certain degree. Terrorism is a product of some of the things we've done militarily that's made a lot of folks hate us across the world. And but I think that in the process of that, because America is the most dominant superpower in the world, you're gonna step on some toes on the way to the top. And that's just the reality of where we're at as the United States of America. Do I think that we should go into all these different places trying to be the world police? Nah. It's a waste of time. These guys have been fighting forever. And us going over there trying to be the peacemakers and create democracy, it just doesn't work. You could make the argument that, yes, Saddam Hussein was a bad man, but he kept those folks over there in line. He wasn't a religious extremist. He was about getting money and living. And I think that's where the people don't understand is that everyone over there they're not religious zealots. Guys like Saddam Hussein, he was a dictator, but it wasn't based off religion. It was based off power, money. He lived like a king while most of the people in his country lived like paupers. And so same thing with North Korea. It's no religion involved. These are just dictators, men that are only looking to take care of themselves, enrich themselves, their families, and the few people that are silly enough to stand around them. So those are the kind of things we're going to deal with. I want you to call in and talk about this, 313-209-9000. We've got a couple calls on the line, but I think we're probably going to take them after the break because I don't want to. We got 1 minute left here. So, hey, listen, Tim, Rodney, I know you guys are waiting on the line. We're going to come back and talk about this after the break because I do think that a lot of people have some interesting insights, honest insights about how do we deal with the New York problem. And then after that, I'm gonna play General Kelly's comments regarding the compromise on the Civil War, calling General Lee a honorable person, a treasonous SOB is what I would call him. From the words of my great president, that's a treasonous SOB. Donald Trump, I give him credit for that. He's made it a little easier for me to criticize people too that I don't agree with. I just call them SOBs. That's what our president, that's the standard he's taken. So if you don't like something someone's doing, they're SOBs. And so I think General Lee was a treasonous SOB. And I don't think that we should be in any way, supporting or celebrating these, what I call participation trophies for losers, these Confederate monuments. Put them in the museum, folks. That's gotten a lot of folks in trouble. Oh, yeah, we got some more comments on Facebook. I'm going to have to check those out, too. We have a very interactive group here on my show. So even if you're just sitting at home right now, you can go to the 910 a.m. Superstation Facebook page, and you can watch it online and share it with folks. We have a lot of fun here, and I stay on social media. So I encourage you as well to follow me on Twitter at Conservative Bro. And you can follow me on Facebook at Wayne Bradley. We share all these things. We have these discussions on a daily basis. It doesn't stop after my 2 hours in the radio. We continue on for the rest of the day with these in-depth discussions. So thank you for everyone that's watching on Facebook right now, and I'll probably check them out on the break while I'm here. But thank you for everyone that's listening. The call-in number is 313-209-9000. If you're having any challenges on that number, give us a call at 313-778-7600. We were having a very lively discussion at between 5 and 6 this morning. I appreciate folks calling in on their way to work. There's no better way to get up than with the Wayne Bradley Show. We'll be back.
Bradley Show, conservative political radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show.
Hello, Detroit. This is Janice Winfrey, your city clerk. Also, I'm excited that we're rolling out our brand new voting machines with you in mind.
Get out to vote Tuesday, November 7th.
910 AM Superstation is the voice of the people. Don't believe me? Just listen.
Great programming. Inspirational.
I know there's some good info on 910 AM Superstation.
The latest promo for the 4 to 7 slot at the end says the Goon Squad's on speed dial. Got me listening to reruns up to the dial.
OMG. A-listers on the radio.
So when you think of 910 AM Superstation, we want you to tune in, call in, and don't forget to find us on social media. 910 AM Superstation, giving you exactly what you need by any means necessary. Thank you for calling 910 AM Superstation. What's your question or comment?
All right, we got Kevin on the line.
I think $30,000 a month. I think it's too much.
For Mary J, $30,000 to me is not much at all.
Not much at all.
Not much at all.
If Mary J isn't bringing $1 million a year, then maybe he shouldn't be getting $30,000 because he was the manager. But I guarantee you,
no, she's
getting more than $1 million.
Yeah, I even know her net worth. Absolutely,
just in royalties, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yes, she is.
You know what? She needs that attorney that went after Tiger Woods.
Tammy, would you like to chime in?
And so I would like to challenge that we have more people from the community that can serve as advocates for, even though we have elected officials, but just regular everyday citizens step up that are able to articulate the community needs to elected officials in a way that they'll understand.
910 AM Superstation, the voice of Detroit. 910 AM Superstation is the voice of the people. Don't believe me? Just listen.
I listen all the time. Great radio personalities.
The new mobile site is incredible. With the visual live feed, this is a whole new level for community broadcasting. I'm also very impressed with the Bible section present both in a written and audio format. 910 AM has really stepped it up to a whole new level.
Tune in, call in, and don't forget to find us on social media. 910 AM Superstation, the only urban talk radio station in town.
Look at the American Revolution in 1776. That revolution was for what? For land. Why did they want land? Independence. How was it carried out? Bloodshed. Was no love lost. Was no compromise. Was no negotiation. I'm telling you, you don't know what a revolution is. But when you find out what it is, you'll get out of the way.
910 AM Superstation, the only urban talk radio station in town. 910 AM Superstation. We're the hottest station in town. Why? Because when it happens, we talk about it.
Call somebody a crook long enough or often enough in the course of an hour debate, and a lot of voters will walk away believing, oh my gosh, he is a crook. And I think that was Coleman Young's strategy. He also pounded this idea that Mike Duggan is absent from the neighborhoods, that he's not out there among the people, and that he is wedded to the downtown developers, and that he spends all of his time courting those developers and worrying about downtown. And he just kept coming back and back to that. And then this idea that the neighborhoods are not getting what they deserve in terms of Detroit's comeback. And, you know, those were the themes Coleman Young pushed. I thought he kept Mike Duggan on his toes a little bit.
Yeah, he did.
910 AM Superstation, the best, the brightest, and the bravest voices of Detroit. Be sure to catch Doing the D with Alexander Zonchek right here on 910 AM Superstation.
Many, many years ago, I would play concerts. 1978, my first record came out. In those days, I would play. You know, a beautiful young lady would come up to you and go, oh, Alexander, you know, I love your music. I have all your LPs. A couple years go by, and same beautiful girl comes over and says, my mother loves all of your music. And I go, oh, wow, now it's her mother. And then you go by, and now what do I get now? My grandparents have all your LPs. I'm serious. I get that all the time.
The voice of Detroit, Sundays from 5 to 7 p.m. Stay up to date with current events and breaking news on our Facebook page. Search and like 910 AM Superstation on Facebook, and you'll see everything new, everything exciting, and all things Detroit. 910 AM Superstation News on Facebook Live right now. We're the hottest station in town. Whatever you need, it's right here on 910 AM Superstation. The most powerful voices in the urban community. 910 AM Superstation gives you the flip side, the real side. This is our side.
I believe. Are we on the air?
You're listening to 910 AM Superstation, Detroit's only urban talk radio station. You're listening to 910 AM Superstation, Detroit's only urban talk radio station.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative Political Radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative Political Radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show.
And welcome back to the Wayne Bradley Show on 9:10 a.m., your superstation. We are live. We've been getting a lot of calls today, and I want to encourage you to keep calling in, 313-209-9000. Want to encourage you, if you're on Twitter, to follow me also at Conservative Bro. And you can also get all these shows almost within the hour after it's over on SoundCloud or Spreaker or at my website, conservativebro.com. So thank you again. All right, so we got a couple calls here. We're going to finish these calls up, and then we're going to go into the comments that General Kelly made yesterday. So let's go to Tim. Tim's on the line. Tim, thanks for calling in.
Good morning, Wayne.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. I just had to respond to that last caller. I'll tell you, ignorance is bliss. I'd like to ask him a simple question. Who does he think the majority of the victims are of these Islamic terrorists?
Other folks in their own community.
Yeah, they're Muslims. And now they're moving into North Africa, and you're going to see a lot of people of color being killed.
Yep.
It's got nothing to do with race. It has to do with belief.
Yep.
He shouldn't even comment on the subject because he's so ignorant. But and then let's go back to slave trade. It was the Arabs that bought the people of color in Africa back in the slave trade. So he can say whatever he wants. He needs to study his history. He's a fool.
Oh well, Tim, I appreciate you calling in and giving that reflection of what you heard. I do appreciate honesty. And I do think that sometimes folks do need to do a little more research. So thank you, Tim, for calling in. We've got Rodney on the line. Rodney, thanks for calling in.
Wayne, how you doing?
I'm doing good this morning. How about you, sir?
All right. Hey, look at George Bush had no reason to invade Iraq because that's what brought in ISIS and Al Qaeda. He didn't have no reason to do that.
In hindsight, I would have to agree. I think that obviously what happened was we had 9/11. And at that time, it was a knee-jerk reaction to immediately go to war with someone. And he got congressional approval. This wasn't something he did all on his own. And I think that America as a country wanted to fight back. They wanted to stop because we'd never seen anything like this. And so, obviously whenever you have these terrorist attacks, there's always, unfortunately some possible opportunity or door opening for war, some kind of military strike back. And I think in that scenario, when you have planes flying into buildings, people wanted some action, and our president at that time, George Bush, took action.
Hey, Wayne.
Yes, sir.
Power yields to superior power. Power don't yield a prayer.
Now, listen, I'm not in any way at this point now. I think obviously almost 20 years later, you can look back and say we probably should not went to Iraq. But I'm just thinking at that time, it was, this is before the hyperbolics of how we are now, where people were like, well, Republicans said this and Democrat, we were thinking as a country. And George Bush led us to believe, and through that they had found weapons of mass destruction and things of this nature.
They didn't find no weapons of mass destruction.
I didn't say they did. I'm just saying that that's what they convinced us of at that time. And we went to war under these kind of pretenses. And again, I'm first to tell you that I think that we are stretching ourselves thin as a country. Trying to be the world police, trying to put democracy on places that flat out don't want it. And that's something we're going to have to think about moving forward, how we operate as a country. So,
Congress never declared war on Iraq. They said, let's invade. There's a difference between declaring war and invade. There's a difference.
But he still got no one from Congress was challenging him the way they would now. You just didn't have the same factions as you did in 2001 or whatever compared to now. I think that there's a lot more political activism on both sides. You didn't have a Tea Party. You didn't have a lot of what I consider the libertarian wing of the party, that they weren't really. It was only Ron Paul at that time. The only guy that would challenge that kind of stuff at that time was a good man by the name of Ron Paul. And so now you have a lot more. You have Justin Amash, you have Ben Sass, you have a lot of different guys that are willing to challenge the norms. And those are Republicans that are willing to challenge within the party on going to war and using the militarization. So, Rodney, I'm gonna let you finish it up. What do you think we need to do moving forward to keep an eye on these kind of scenarios?
I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Especially in these lone wolf scenarios. And I think that's being honest, Rodney. I don't know either. I don't know what you do when you have a guy that decides on his own, by himself, that he's going to take a U-Haul truck and ram it through a bunch of people in New York City. What can you do to stop that? So
ain't nothing you can do. I don't know what there ain't nothing you can do about that.
I agree. Well, hey, Rodney,
There's some more guys out there too.
Oh yeah, no. If I watched this that 60 Minutes about a week ago where they showed that undercover FBI agent that had been working on terrorist cells, and he said the one thing that haunts him to this day is he knows there's an active cell in America that they never got to because they arrested the target they were working on was plotting something else, but they never got to meet the American cell. And so there's people here. There's no question about it. It's just a matter of, are they motivated enough? I tend to believe these guys that come here hating America, and then once they get here, they realize it's not so bad. And so you might have some guys it's personal. Maybe they lost family members and things like that. But I'm willing to bet you there are a lot of guys that hated America, and when they get here and realize that they have freedom, that they're not being forced into doing anything, hey, man, they can go pick up a pizza, halal meat pizza in Dearborn. They realize, hey, this America place is not so bad. And I truly believe that's why we haven't had as many of those issues in Michigan, is because the guys here, they like America. They might not say it's the greatest place in the world, but they like their freedom. They like being able to go get the same foods and customs as they can do. We don't stop any of that. And I think that is part of what makes America great, but also part of what leaves us vulnerable to these kind of attacks. So thank you, Rodney, for calling in this morning. All right. So we're going to, Rodney, that was probably the most honest person I've had. Rodney just said, hey, I don't know. I don't know what we do in this scenario. So, all right, moving forward, I'm going to go real quick and play this clip by General Kelly yesterday where he's essentially giving a big ups to General Lee and this misunderstanding. So let's go to this clip. Let's hear what he's got to say.
History's history, and there's certain things in history that were not so good, and other things that were very, very good. I think we make a mistake, though, and as a society, and certainly as individuals, when we take what is today accepted as right and wrong and go back 100, 200, 300 years or more. It shows you how much of a lack of appreciation of history and what history is. I would tell you that Robert E. Lee was an honorable man. He was a man that gave up his country to fight for his state, which in 150 years ago was more important than country. It was always loyalty to state first back in those days. Now it's different today. But the lack of an ability to compromise led to the Civil War. And men and women of good faith on both sides made their stand where their conscience had them make their stand.
History is history, but for fact's sake, let's tell the truth. First of all, historic fact number one. The Civil War was fought over slavery. 11 southern states left the Union back in 1860 and 1861 in order to protect the institution of slavery following the election of President Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln was an avowed opponent of the expansion of slavery, but said he would not interfere with it where it already existed. From History.net, the burning issue that led to the disruption of the Union was the debate over the future of slavery. That dispute led to secession, and secession brought about a war. The first state to secede, South Carolina, on December 20th, 1860, it approved of an ordinance of secession, and it offered an invitation to form a confederacy of slave-holding states. As for Robert E. Lee, he served in the U.S. Army and became superintendent at West Point. In April of 1861, President Lincoln offered him command of all federal forces, but Lee declined, resigned from the Army, and accepted a general's commission in the newly formed Confederate Army.
All right, General Kelly's comments touched strongly.
Man, that nothing chaps my butt like hearing someone make excuses for the Confederate flag, the Confederacy, and guys like Robert E. Lee. Treason. That's what that guy. He's a treasonous guy. And I'm going to give you a quote from my guy. Like I said, I like to show the big tent ability of the Republican Party, and for the record, General Kelly, for all intents and purposes, is a Democrat, and he's just obviously clinging to the revisionist history of the Democrat Party, going all the way back to slavery, unfortunately. But I'm not going to defend that. I think it's just almost, putting it in the context he's putting it in. I can understand where he's coming from, trying to clean that up, but it's just not. Let's just start. I'm going to give you the quote that my guy Tim Scott said. Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina. We need to stop relitigating and referencing the Civil War as if this was some moral conundrum. There was no compromise to make, only a choice between continuing slavery and ending it. We need to move forward together instead of letting the divisions of the past continue to force us apart. Amen. I don't know. I don't understand how we even get into these discussions at this point. I understand that the president has made some comments about these lovely monuments and heritage and yada, yada, yada. And I get it. Again, this governor's trying to win in Virginia. I just think that, and knowing who Gillespie is, I think he should stay away from that. I understand in Virginia, in some areas, Confederate monuments are still there, and that might be a big deal. But when I hear General Kelly making these excuses, and when I hear people still talking about these Confederate monuments as if they were somehow something, again, for someone who's a historian, I can understand why they might appreciate this stuff. If you're someone that just likes to know history and, follows, a war buff, I can understand that as well. But those things also belong in the museum. Or if there's just literally somewhere that really wants to, honor this kind of thing, then go ahead. But the idea that some people are still sitting here defending this foolishness it blows my mind. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Folks get offended and get all butthurt when you start talking about the participation trophies of the South. They lost. They need to get over it. In any kind of way of trying to build up General Lee or any of these guys is just a waste of time. I agree with Tim Scott. Like, let's stop trying to relitigate history. Let's stop trying to revise it and clean it up. General Lee's own family doesn't, his living relatives are not proud of that part of his legacy and don't want the Confederate monument still standing. So I think that those are the things, again, and none of these issues serve to unite Americans at this point. I think that's a big issue that I have. It doesn't serve to unite anyone. And so I think that we can address these issues. We can address people being proud of one's heritage and all these kind of things. Because, I've had conversations with some of my friends that are black Southerners that have described family members that fought for the Confederacy. And so, it's a certain amount of pride and historical significance that some folks might have with this. But, hey, as a proud Yankee, a proud Northerner, it's irrelevant. They lost. They have to get over it. We got to move past it. I don't have any Confederate monuments to my knowledge in Michigan, so I don't spend too much time talking about it. But I just don't understand. And I've got friends here in Michigan. I'll use that term loosely. I've got some guys that I know here in Michigan that I've gotten into debates with and arguments over, and they're still, I think it has more to do with the fact that Trump supports it than they are actually supporting it, to be quite honest. They don't have their own original thoughts in this idea. Is that Donald Trump said that these are monuments that we should celebrate and hold dear. And I mean, Donald Trump says something. Some of these guys, and this will give you an idea why I say that in the Trump era, his supporters are more loyal than anyone I've ever seen. Because let me give you this: the vast majority. And I want to give you a poll that some people talk to some of the Trump supporters about. And the vast majority of Trump voters say if he should stay in power, even if Russian collusion is proven. To me, that just shows you it really is not going to stop the way Trump supporters feel about it. To a certain degree, I guess I admire that. I admire that you're willing to stick with somebody. I mean, and I like to remind all my friends on the other side of the aisle the blind loyalty that they pledged to President Obama. Black pastors, even though President Obama evolved on the issue of gay marriage, black pastors didn't stop supporting President Obama. Completely contrary to what they're teaching on Sunday, they still big up President Obama. So when I hear some guy out in rural Michigan or whatever that's gung-ho on Donald Trump and Donald Trump can do no wrong, I gently remind all my folks in my community that gave President Obama the same kind of pass to do whatever he wanted to do while he was president. Now, more people now that he's not president are willing to say, you know what, I didn't like that. I didn't like that President Obama would do this or do that. But you never said it when he was president. It's almost like just now that he's retired, now you can speak freely about some of the things. Well, guess what, folks? People support Donald Trump the same way. And the Teflon Don, as I call him now, the Teflon Don, is going to probably, I don't think that these charges and all these different investigations are going to get all the way to him. I mean, one, people can fall on the sword for the president. And two, if you were a low-level guy and claiming to have all these connections, I mean, just so we understand, people, in politics, you have these consultants and you have these guys that are wannabe consultants and you have these guys that are in the room for a day, get a photo op with the president, and then use that as their marketing tool to go out and procure business from other folks. Because they'll say, hey, I'm in good with the president. I was just in a meeting with him the other day. And so this guy, from all accounts, from the Trump administration, was George Papadopoulos, the guy that's singing like a canary right now, the rat. He's out there, Now, again, do we know all of his information is correct? I don't know. Robert Mueller has done a great job keeping everything hush-hush. I mean, this guy was arrested at Dulles Airport in July, and no one, caught it on their camera phones. It wasn't reported. And this guy, from from the emails and things like that, it looked like he was working his angle to become a power player in the Trump administration. Now, there are people that worked around Donald Trump that all wanted to play a part and have their own part in the Trump administration. So they would, whether it was businessmen, people all wanted to get in on the Trump train when they realized that he was going to win. And so you might have had some guys on the low end of the totem pole that were trying to work all the angles they could to not help President Trump, but to help themselves. And this George Papadopoulos guy, whoever he is, because I've never heard of him before, he was trying to help himself. And now, just like as a guy that would snitch on everybody, he's still trying to help himself, trying to stay out of trouble. He's looking at 0 months in jail with all the ratting he's doing. Now, again, does that take it all the way to the White House, or does that go after other people? And, the feds and the way Mueller is working, it's a process. He's trying to get other people to flip on each other and all these kind of things. But will it reach the White House? And now, are we talking collusion? Are we talking unethical behaviors, foreign agents, and things like that? I think that President Trump, the same way we're talking about extreme vetting for people to come in this country, if he decides to run again in 2020, or if he even, as he's bringing people on, especially in these volunteer roles and these different boards you can sit on, it's going to need some extreme vetting for them too. That, in this situation, a lot of these guys, Paul Manafort the same way. The minute Paul Manafort, because he told Trump that he would work for free. Now, imagine being Donald Trump at the time, a political novice, never ran a campaign before, and he was getting close to winning, going to convention. And Paul Manafort, who lives in this building, folks, bought a $3.8 million condo from the man, lives in the Trump Tower, told him, I will help you. I will work for free, which I'm sure as any businessman likes to hear. Hey, if he's going to work for free, he at least got his attention, right? And so Paul Manafort was the campaign manager, and he was specifically brought in to help for the convention. He wasn't there for but 3 months or so, and he came in and worked on the convention. Now, I did notice during that time we made some small modifications to the platform, and I thought that was a little bit strange, but I figured, hey, maybe this is Paul Manafort bringing his own personal touch back to the Republican Party. But he was trying to enrich himself too. Immediately after he got in, he started figuring out ways. He used in the email, how do we make ourselves whole? Again, I think that President Trump, who worked kind of outside of D.C., worked outside the box, had these kind of folks around him. He did not have your typical D.C. elites who like to, again, they know their way around, but they know all they really know how to do is make money. And Donald Trump didn't trust that. They were part of the swamp. He didn't trust the swamp. And so Donald Trump brought in some folks from the outside, and maybe now he's possibly seeing the downfall of that, because these guys were more focused, in my opinion, this is my opinion only, no one else's, that a lot of these guys were trying to make money for themselves, enrich their own lives, and didn't care how it made the president look. Maybe they didn't think the president was going to win at that time. So they were just trying to make as much money as they could. And this guy, Papadopoulos, whatever he's done, I mean, he was not a paid staffer. He wasn't in the White House. He worked in the campaign. And like I said, in campaign life, you run across all kind of unscrupulous folks that are willing to help you out. They offered all kind of information. If you're running a presidential campaign and someone comes to you and says they have some damaging information on your opponent, you're doing your due diligence to at least take the meetings and find out. But I think that, again, some of these folks were willing to do business with the wrong folks. So we'll see what happens moving forward. I've got Marcia. She's been waiting on the line here for a minute. Marcia, welcome to the show.
Oh, well, good morning, young man.
Good morning.
Well, listen, this is nothing but distraction.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking $400 and your parents on Medicare, $450 billion they're going to cut out of Medicare,
mm-hmm.
trillions of dollars out of Medicaid. You Republicans, do you remember 1929 when the Republicans took over both houses in the White House? Do you know in 1929 the stock market crashed? I think you better really read your history and find out what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this is nothing but distractions, the shutdown programs that have been very successful. The Democrats and the Republicans, 43 Democrats gave this man that they said who colluded with Russia,
mm-hmm.
gave him a $700 billion weapons and things, and they said that he can't be for the military, that he can't be trusted. I think you all better read your history. I don't think you're being aware this is just a ploy, a smoke screen to take money. But when your parents, if your parents are in nursing homes and when they have to come back and you open your door up and they are standing on your porch of these different homes, call them. Call your parents, call your family up and tell them to come and get your people. You're going to understand exactly what their main purpose was. What the main purpose is to shut down all of these social programs that we've had for so many successful years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is what you all really need to check out. Do you remember? Have you had the history when the stock market crashed and who was in office? The Republicans were in office. And a Republican was in the White House in 29. The stock market crashed. So I think you better think about that. And I can't understand people who profess to be religious people,
mm-hmm.
and they believe in war. And I don't understand.
Well, unfortunately, war has been entrenched in religion for centuries. So I mean, to me, it doesn't surprise me when I hear people who are Christians, Muslims, whatever, that are okay with and encourage war. I mean, it's entrenched in religion. And again, just from a policy standpoint with me, I just think that, again, I'm all about dollars and cents. And I think that we are stretching ourselves thin as a country in all the different places that we're playing world police. So I think that a lot of times I'm more in line with how Rand Paul was thinking about that than I am with a lot of what I call my neocons that, are always looking for a good war. John McCain's, the Grahams, and folks like that. So, hey, Marcy, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to let you finish this off.
Wait. Well, we fight war over gold, oil, and drugs. You know that it's not to take democracy to no one. It's for the minerals. Niger has a lot of minerals. Mm-hmm. North Korea has minerals that the United States are. You people are not going to understand until every drop of oil on this planet is gone.
What you mean by you people, Marcia? Who are you talking about? You people.
Republicans and Democrats.
That sounded racist.
Promote war.
You people.
Until all the oil and all the water is gone.
Well, hey, listen, we need oil. Do we not need? We'll never use all the oil in the Middle East.
Drive bigger and bigger trucks and cars.
Yep.
And pollute up the earth
until
all the water is polluted, until all the oil is gone. Then you're gonna say, well, what happened? Okay,
we'll find another planet to take over. Ain't that right, Marcia?
For their minerals.
Now listen,
Niger for minerals. I save the people.
Well, no, listen, let's be honest. A lot of these terrorists are moving around. Africa's poor because they don't believe in democracy. They got a bunch of dictators running their countries. That's half the problem.
Because we put them in there. Because we put those dictators in office.
We didn't put them all in there. Don't blame that on America. Marcia, you're not going to blame all the problems of the world. You sound just like Bernie Sanders and those socialists. You're not going to blame all the problems. You're not going to blame all the problems of the world on America, Marcia. And I love you for calling in, though. But thank you for calling in today. We're about to go to a break here, and we'll be back on The Wayne Bradley Show. You're listening to The Wayne Bradley Show from 5 to 7 a.m. I will be back.
Political radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's The Wayne Bradley Show. It's The Wayne Bradley Show. Political radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's The Wayne Bradley Show.
This Total Traffic Report is brought to you by the Exogen Temporal Scanner Thermometer. As a busy parent, taking your child's temperature shouldn't be as stressful as fighting through traffic. With the Exogen Temporal Scanner Thermometer, one gentle scan of the forehead is all it takes. If only the commute were that easy. Pick one up at your local club, warehouse, or other fine retailers.
If you want to hear the voices of Detroit, look no further than 910 AM Superstation.
So my mom was only 42. She was thin, genetically thin. I want to emphasize that because there's a misconception that if you're thin, that means that you're fit. And that's not necessarily so. And so one of the things that I share with the employees at Oakland Schools was that it's really important to know about your genetic history. So what is your genetic disposition towards chronic diseases like heart disease, stroke, diabetes? Is that something that you do not know? Are you aware of your genetic history?
1833, a couple of interesting things happened that year, one of which is West Bloomfield, Township of West Bloomfield, became a township, 1833. In fact, West Bloomfield became a township before the state of Michigan became a state. Now, aren't you all thrilled to hear that? This is important stuff, right?
910 AM Superstation, the voice of Detroit. If the conversation is hot and the lines are jammed, give us a try at 313-778-7600 or 313-778-7601. That's 313-778-7600 or 313-778-7601.
910 Superstation is off the chisane.
910 AM Superstation is the voice of Detroit, and we want to hear what you have to say by any means necessary. Every weeknight at 9 p.m. is something new and something fresh.
This is Todd Corser, and I want you to check out my show. Listen in and call every week as we explore government and hot topics. Tune in, raw and uncut.
This is attorney Michael Schwartz at 910 AM Superstation, and you can hear me every Tuesday night starting at 9 p.m.
Hello, Detroit. This is attorney Crystal Crittenden, and please tune in to my new show, The Truth Matters, on 910 AM Superstation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Charlene Mitchell, your host of Mind Your Business. Listen to my show live every Thursday from 9 to 11 p.m.
I'm Reverend Maya Lisa Reynolds, inviting you to listen to Mama Maya Speaks Friday evenings from 9 until 11 p.m., discussing education, motivation, and inspiration on Superstation 910 a.m.
Different names, different voices, but the same energy. 910 a.m. Superstation, the voice of Detroit. 910 a.m. Superstation, giving you exactly what you need. Thank you for calling 910 a.m. Superstation. What's your question or comment?
Mario, what was your take?
I have a feeling that most people watched the first part of that debate and said, let me go watch Mr. Verlander pitch a couple innings. Because I was disappointed in Mike Duggan, because Mike has been known to be a master debater, and he didn't deliver those solid punches that I thought he was going to deliver. And I was disappointed in Senator Young for the simple fact that he inserted race from the beginning, he inserted race in the middle, and he closed with this race-baiting take back to motherland thing, which I thought was totally out of place, inappropriate for someone who was behind in the polls and wanted to deliver and convince people that he had a solid plan of action to move the city to the next level.
Call in and chime in on the conversation. Take down the number and lock us in your speed dial. It's 313-209-9000. That's 313-209-9000. If you want to hear the voices of Detroit, look no further than 910 AM Superstation.
I know there's some good info on 910 AM Superstation. Real talk for real people.
We are 910 AM Superstation, the voice of Detroit.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative analytical radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative analytical radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Yeah.
And welcome back to the Wayne Bradley Show here on 910 a.m. your Superstation. We got the last half hour here, and we're going to talk a couple local issues that I think we talked a lot. I talked a little bit about this on Sunday, and I didn't get to, I guess, and then on was it Sunday? Yeah, it was Sunday when I got home after the show, and then I started seeing all these people complaining about Cardi B getting the Spirit of Detroit Award. And, I saw people, and again, I know a lot of people in the entertainment industry here locally, and I've seen other rappers and folks get this award. I know K. Deezy has got it. I think he's got it a few times over the years. Shout out to my man K. Deezy. I think it's been a lot of entertainers locally and nationally, and essentially what happened was she was awarded the Spirit of Detroit Award, and people the next morning were hating on it, like, how does she get the Spirit of Detroit Award, and blah 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 blah. And so the next thing you know, you had James Tate making a statement. You had Mary Sheffield. Now, I can't lie. I thought it was going to be my girl, Mary Sheffield. I was ready to blame that on her because she loves when the hip-hop artists came in. But it turns out that it was Brenda Jones who gave the award. It came from her office, but it was based off a request from another radio station. I'm about to say that. Another radio station. And which was almost typical when they host these big artists. They, call the city and see if they can get this award. Now, I just want to point out to you, Cardi B is an ex-stripper. She did Love and Hip Hop. She has has a number one song. First time in over 20 years since Lauryn Hill that a female artist had a number one song with no one else on it, no features or anything like that. So from every aspect, she's done some really, I guess, great things in the industry in the last year. but folks were really, really ticked off in Detroit. And then I started thinking about it, like, well, all right, let's look at it. Cash Dow, another local rap artist from Detroit, she's won the Spirit of Detroit Award. This young girl was a stripper turned rapper. And there's a lot of that going on right now in Detroit, a lot of that going around in urban America, period. That's part of the dream. And I guess not to criticize strippers or anything, and you know what? I'll let, just so folks can get a taste of this Cardi B thing, I'll let you guys hear her, when she got the award, how excited she was. Let's go to that.
Thank you, Detroit. Thank you, the City Council of Detroit, Michigan, for giving me the Spirit of Detroit Award. And this means so much to me. That's what I like to do. I like to uplift people, spirit. You know what I'm saying? Through my music, my videos. You know, if you're having a very bad day and if your life is miserable, or just to unwind yourself, I like you to come to my page, make you feel better, and just always remember, people, if you think you ugly, there's somebody out there that's uglier than you. Thank you, Detroit, for giving me
y'all better stop hating on Cardi B. You know, I like Cardi B. Her music's all right. You know, it kind of worries me sometimes when I see my 14-year-old dancing to that. So, I got my own set of concerns. But she's a beautiful young lady. She seems to have a very great attitude. She seems to uplift. Seems like she has a very positive spirit. And so I just didn't understand all the hate on that. Detroit, we got bigger issues. You got a lot of other things to be worried about. I immediately had to tease and call my good friend Andre Spivey. I said, I know you ain't sent out that award, did you, brother? He said, oh, no. I didn't do that. It had nothing to do with that. And so, I just think the Detroiters in general, man, we got to stop worrying about some of these petty issues. We spent like 2 days on that before all the other things that happened. I just think that, we got to congratulate folks. Be happy. She's a young lady that's doing something positive with her life. And that, to me, she motivates. And a lot of little young ladies in the Detroit area look up to her. So I didn't have a problem with it. I understand why people were bugging out a little bit, because just it's like, hey, it's just a rapper, yada, yada, yada. She's not even from Detroit. But I, again, will remind you of some of the people from Detroit that have won that Spirit of Detroit Award. And I can't point out to anybody better than Cash Dow to say, hey, if Cash Dow can get the award, and that's no offense or no diss to Cash Dow, because I saw she had some issues with it on Instagram or whatever. I know you guys are probably thinking, why does this Republican know all about all this stuff? Hey, man, I was in the music business. I have a 14-year-old daughter, so I got to stay hip to what's going on. But I just think that in overall, Detroiters, we need to focus on some other things. Let this girl have her day. She came in to do had a performance. I believe it was at the Masonic Temple or Masonic Hall on Saturday with Yo Gotti and Meek Mills, who didn't even show up. His probation officer wouldn't let him get free. So Meek Mills didn't even make it to Detroit on that. But folks, let's just celebrate people. Let people be great. Let Cardi B be great. Goodness. So moving on. I'm not going to stay too long. I just couldn't believe that people were so outraged about this young lady winning the award. Of all the things we got to worry about in Detroit, that's not nearly at the top of the list. So moving on. We're going to go. We got a caller on the line. I got Andrew on the line. Andrew, thanks for calling in.
Oh, hey, great show, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening in.
I don't keep up with hip hop, and I don't keep up with stuff. I never even heard of her until this happened. But
yeah, I had a lot of people on my page were like, "Who is that?" And I'm like, "Hey, man. Well, again, I love hip hop. I listen to hip hop. The minute I get out of here, I'm going to go hop back in my car and drive home and listen to hip hop. But I also have a 14-year-old daughter, so I have to know what's going on out here. And when I hear my daughter saying she don't dance now, she make money moves, I got to know what's going on with that. I got to know where you're getting this stuff from. You know what I mean?
I'm glad that she was thankful.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. Like, she seemed to be very appreciative of the award, and she's very humble. From what I've seen in interviews and stuff, she seems very appreciative of the position she's in now, because she knows what she was doing a year or two ago. And she's now this is America. This is, again, these are the things that make America so awesome, is that a young lady who was stripping, a year or two ago, ends up doing TV, does the Love and Hip Hop, and now has a #1 single, gets a big record deal with Atlantic Records. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's a lot worse things she could be doing with her life than what she's doing, and I'm okay with, again, you got to take what you can out of things and celebrate the good and stop making everything so bad,
Hey, sir, I was wondering if I could ask you a question. I don't know, I haven't really, understand, your personality that well yet, but I was wondering if I could ask what your views were on the Sioux Nation, having their civil rights, human rights, and religious rights violated for so long. I was wondering what would it take to correct that.
The what nation? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Sioux Nation. I don't like to say Indians because they're really called like Sioux. But as far as do you think they're ever going to have a chance to practice their religion in America?
To my knowledge, everyone can practice their religion in America. Who can't practice their religion?
Religion's not to have their territory ripped up the ground and all that. There.
No, well, I think that's obviously a challenge, and the government. Unfortunately, the government has set. I'm not going to say unfortunately they set aside land for them, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the land they wanted. And so in my opinion, I don't know if they'll ever be able to practice their religion the way they intended it to. That way, no. That will be a big challenge. And I guess that one of the things I've always pointed to is even with government, when they give you something, look what bad shape our Native Americans are in right now on that land. And so I don't know if they'll ever have it to obviously where they had it before. I mean, I think just being honest, no, I don't think that's going to happen. Do I think that's necessarily fair? No. But I don't think that. I don't anticipate that they'll get all their land back anytime soon. Andrew, I hope that answers that question.
Would you consider that was a good answer? Would you consider that, or not consider, but would using the word apartheid fit their situation?
Using the word apartheid, I don't know. I think that again. I think in these situations, when we're dealing with the Native American population, apartheid. I don't know if that's the right word. I think that keeping people in a bad space, and what this government has done with the Native Americans, and again, they've made some bad, questionable deals themselves in negotiating with the American government. I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's realistically. I don't know if they'll be whole again on that. And I don't know if I would call it apartheid, but I just don't. I think that any ethnic group trying to make a good deal with the government is always going to come in on the short end of the stick when it comes to dealing with the government. That's just my personal opinion. Black folks, we've made deals with the government too, and it's not exactly worked out so great for us either. So I think anyone that tries to negotiate and do business with government and thinking that the government somehow is going to help them out, they're going to end up being disappointed and usually on the short end of the stick on that, Andrew. So I hope that answered your question. I do appreciate you calling in today. We've got about 15 minutes left here on the show. I appreciate everyone that's been calling in today because we've had folks calling in from 5:15 on up. So I do appreciate you calling in today. 313-209-9000. Does anyone else want to call in and add in onto this whole Cardi B thing? And I don't know if I still have the numbers here because I saw yesterday that Bankalay brought in Coleman Young II for an interview, but I want to say that people were calling in on Sunday, and I want to say it was 9-6 that people said that Coleman Young had won that debate, but I want to say that out of 9 of those people, I believe 5 to 6 of them actually supported free water for the whole city, and so again, I think what people get caught up in is all the promises that Coleman Young is making that sound good. If you're a salesman, you ought to be able to make a good pitch, and Coleman Young makes a great pitch. But will it get done? Is it realistic? Are these the jobs of an activist, or is this the job of a mayor? I've been saying since last week, the person that needs to be watching their back the most is Reverend Wendell Anthony. Coleman Young wants your job, sir. That's the only thing he's qualified for. And he probably doesn't even want your job because you actually have to do some work. He wants to be the spokesperson. He wants to go out and make noise. And I give him credit for that. He's an eloquent speaker when it comes to addressing some of the issues. And maybe Duggan will look at him and hire him as an outreach coordinator after it's all said and done, because Duggan's got this thing. But maybe it's not that he doesn't have, some good ideas. It's that how do you implement them? Saying that you're going to sue the insurance companies for redlining when that's already been done. The NAACP has done that. Other groups have done that. So how does that help as the current mayor, if that's the position you're going to take, as opposed to maybe some other solutions? And one of these days, very soon, I'm going to have my good friend Tom Leonard, the Speaker of the House, come into the show. We had him in our office. He had him in my office last Friday, and we had a bunch of folks come in, and he talked about insurance reform. And I think it's very telling, folks. This is what I have a issue where I get mad about black folks not being at the table at both parties and why there should be representation. Now, here you have Tom Leonard coming from the west side of the state, coming in. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He's originally from the Flint area, but he's coming in from Lansing to talk driver's insurance reform and the money we could save and how this could make a big difference. And it's hard to get the Detroit caucus on board. The people that is most likely going to benefit and take care of, you can't get your Detroit caucus on board. They're looking, and, I'm not going to call out particular folks because I know a lot of these guys and I don't want to make it personal. But what happens is that they should be trying to improve that bill and make it something that really works, because everyone in Michigan could use a 20% reduction in their insurance. But you know what? You've got folks from the Detroit caucus that are fighting it because HAP, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and these healthcare providers are lobbying them, i.e. putting money in their caucuses and to their campaign funds that has them taking a position against folks in their own community. Don't understand it. And I would love to get some like I said, Tom Leonard, I was with him on Friday, and it was just amazing to me listening to it. And a lot of people don't realize it. Next time you go to the hospital, next time you get rushed to the hospital, watch what the first question is that they ask you when you go in that hospital. And it's not, do you have insurance? The question is, were you injured in an auto accident? Because if you were injured in an auto accident, that means cha-ching to the hospitals. Cha-ching. They're thinking about the money they're going to make on you because they know that they can charge almost 3 times as much when you're involving an auto collision, or if you were in, if your auto policy is covering your injuries. And so therefore, folks, your auto insurance is extremely high. We don't have caps here in Michigan right now. And a lot of people would say, well, why would we get rid of caps? Well, one of the few states, if not the only state in the country, that doesn't have any kind of caps, because it puts an extreme burden on your auto insurance providers to pay for these injuries. And so your insurance rates go. Everyone's paying more than they have to on insurance because of the way our laws are written. It's not just, redlining and all that. It's because of the way the laws are written that they have to do that. Okay? And so when you go into a hospital and the first thing they ask you, were you injured in an auto accident, it's because they're ready to stick you. And they're not looking at sticking you. It's not personal. It's the insurance. They know that they're going to make more money. If Tom Leonard said to open a bottle of cortisone is $80 when you go in there, and if it was a non-auto accident. Auto accident, $300 to open that same bottle of cortisone just to put on your cut. It makes no sense. And again, I could see why the healthcare lobby would be lobbying it. They don't want to pick up those costs. Well, guess what? You're a healthcare organization. That's what you do. That's what you do. And these guys are trying to get out of it. And it's just ridiculous. I tell you what, we got one last call here on the line right now. David, thanks for calling in.
Oh, thanks for taking my call, Wayne.
No problem.
Let me say that. Coleman Young, for 10 years, he's been the messenger in Lansing.
Mm-hmm.
I can recall this guy being on television, WADL, and the Highland Park channel. All he does is would tell you about what Republicans and any other Democrats were doing in Lansing.
The blame game.
He never says, yep, he played the blame game. He never said anything about what he was doing.
No solutions. That's what I keep saying. He's great at pointing out the problems, but he offers no solutions. I mean, it doesn't take a special skill to identify some of the problems here in Detroit. It takes a leader and someone special to produce solutions and things that are going to get done. And I think that Mike Duggan has done it he's not perfect. He's no angel, but he's done a lot better. He's done a lot better job of providing solutions at everywhere he's been compared to what Coleman Young has done.
Exactly. Coleman Young, when he was all those years, I never heard him even mention anything about doing some type of.
Well, I mean, he can still do it right now.
Until
he's still an elected official. He can still get something done, but he's not. He chose to campaign. So that's what he's doing right now. He chose to campaign. If he had the real political gravitas that he needs for this job, he would be working hand in hand with Tom Leonard and then come back and say, but you know what? Duggan is the one who did it. Duggan's the one that called up the Speaker of the House and decided to work together. Not Coleman Young. Coleman Young's in Lansing. Let's put that in perspective. Even if he wanted to help Duggan out, it could have been a wash. He could have said, hey, yeah, Duggan's been working with Tom Leonard in the House, but as a senator, I've been working on the Senate side to make sure we have a bill that people are going to accept as well. And he hasn't done that. He's been too busy campaigning. And like you said, you come home to Detroit on the weekends, you come home to these forums, and what do you say? Oh, it's the Republicans' fault. I can't get nothing done up there. The Republicans are taking over Lansing. We can't do anything. No, you can do things. You can offer compromise. You can come with ideas, solutions. Republicans are reasonable people, but they want to hear some actual solutions. They don't want to hear you belly aching and complaining on the news every week when you're not offering anything, you're not bringing anything to the table but your stomach.
That's exactly true. I mean, this guy did for 10 years, done nothing. I heard not bring any solution or plan nothing. And you got some of these Detroiters want to support this guy.
You know why?
It is ridiculous.
The only thing he's truly done relevant for his political career was give himself the name Coleman Young. And I'll just say that, and I'll leave it at there. I'm going to let you finish it off, David. Go ahead and because we're about to run off the air here, but I'll give you the last seconds on that. What do you obviously with the debate, who do you think is the better candidate for the city of Detroit, David?
It's obviously Duggan. Duggan is the best candidate. He clearly separates himself from Coleman Young. I mean, anytime a guy talks about return to the motherland, that was pathetic.
Oh, I had so much fun with that, David. You know what? I had so much fun with that, David. I just couldn't. Hey, I like the hashtag. For the motherland, brother. I am not mad at that, but I can't take someone serious as doing that. So, David, thank you again for calling in. I hope you're listening to the Wayne Bradley Show during the week. We do this every day from 5 to 7 a.m., so thank you for calling in. All right, so we're about to wrap this up for today. I just want to, again, tell people if you don't get to listen, if you're not up at 5 a.m., you can listen to the podcast of the show, and it's usually up by 8 o'clock. You can go to conservativebro.com. I'm on SoundCloud and Spreaker as well. And you can go to your iTunes, to your podcast, and download it there as well. So there is no excuse for why you can't listen to the Wayne Bradley Show, whether you get to work at 8 o'clock and you want to listen to it there. So thank you for listening in today on the Wayne Bradley Show. We'll be back tomorrow, and we'll have some more interesting topics to talk about. You guys have a good day. You're listening to the Wayne Bradley Show on 9:10 a.m., your superstation. Peace.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative Political Radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative Political Radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. Listen up. It's the Wayne Bradley Show.
Can health insurance be more human, more compassionate? Can it be healthier? It's up to us to show our corner of the world how. And it starts with putting people first, a task we take deeply to heart. That's why we don't see our members as numbers. They're our friends and neighbors. At Priority Health, we have 996,000 reasons to offer Michigan the best health insurance possible. And we care about every single one. Priority Health, a healthier approach to healthcare. Can health insurance be more human, more compassionate? Can it be healthier? It's up to us to show our corner of the world how. And it starts with putting people first, a task we take deeply to heart. That's why we don't see our members as numbers. They're our friends and neighbors. At Priority Health, we have 996,000 reasons to offer Michigan the best health insurance possible. And we care about every single one. Priority Health,